foreign and 32, I found myself entwined in matrimony with my initial spouse, Olivia, whose appellation I have chosen to alter, a decision made at the tender age of 24. Our union burgeoned during the days of youth, and in those times, I held the conviction that she embodied the epitome of feminine perfection. However, my naivety was swiftly shattered, for it became abundantly clear that our purported fervor was but a fleeting illusion. In an unforeseen turn of events, she forsook our connection, gravitating towards the embrace of a wealthy magnate. It was in that poignant juncture that the true nature of her desires unfolded before me. Recollections of the genesis of my awareness of Olivia elude precise recollection. We shared the confines of a modest township during our formative years, traversing the corridors of the same educational institution. Despite this proximity, our social circles remained disparate, as she, adorned with beauty, existed within a realm distinct from my own, that of a bespectacled and bookish youth. The prospect of ever garnering her affection seemed fantastical, an aspiration relegated to the realms of the implausible. Temporal currents carried me away to the echelons of academia, and upon returning to our provincial enclave subsequent to acquiring a degree, I readied myself for an occupation within the precincts of a veterinary clinic. Nestled within the confines of a new abode, this transition from the rapid cadence of urban existence to the tranquility of a small town beckoned both trepidation and anticipation. Rekindling camaraderie with old companions and familial proximity were the lures that sweetened the prospect. Embarking upon an eve to partake in conviviality with erstwhile associates at a downtown establishment, I extended a gesture of libation to the gathering. Drawing near to the bar, a familiar countenance stirred dormant memories, gradually crystallizing into recognition. The alluring damsel, once a mere denizen of high school hallways, had metamorphosed into the keeper of spirits. "What libation suits your fancy, my dear?" she inquired, shattering the semblance of composure I feigned. A palpitating heart and a resurgence of adolescent anxiety gripped me, a disconcerting reversion to my former self. Staring blankly, my attempt at coherent discourse faltered, leaving me to stammer a feeble acknowledgement. In a surreal revelation, Olivia queried, "Westbrook High, wasn't it?" as she adeptly dispensed our libations. A surreal symphony of disbelief and astonishment played within my consciousness. Throughout the passing years, my presumption of being inconspicuous to her had been proven wrong. As the night unfolded, the tapestry of our shared past unraveled, weaving a narrative that surpassed the boundaries of my erstwhile perceptions. Eager to prolong the evening with my friends, I continually proffered rounds of drinks for our convivial gathering, seizing any pretext to engage in conversation with the captivating bartender, Olivia. Reuniting with my companions after an extended hiatus, we collectively resisted the inexorable march of time, yearning to perpetuate the nocturnal festivities. Amidst the camaraderie, Olivia emerged as an unexpected incentive, providing me with yet another rationale to remain ensconced at the bar. Whether it was the intoxicating libations or Olivia's hitherto undiscovered affability, a burgeoning comfort enveloped me, facilitating a more relaxed interaction with her as the night unfolded. As the establishment approached closing hours, Olivia, with a casual grace, requested my phone and inscribed her contact details. In the ensuing year, fortuity smiled upon me. The veterinary clinic, my professional domain, expanded its operational hours, and the coffers swelled with substantial remuneration. Embarking on the precipice of homeownership, I secured mortgage approval, poised to inhabit my inaugural dwelling. Post our fortuitous encounter, Olivia and I commenced a romantic entanglement, with the realization dawning on our first date that she was the person with whom I aspired to share the remainder of my existence. Swiftly propelling our connection into matrimonial realms, I proposed to her a mere 5 months into our union, and she, unequivocally, acquiesced. The nuptial festivities transpired within the ensuing year, an accelerated trajectory that drew perplexed glances from friends and family, yet my ardor remained undeterred by societal conventions. The initial years of our marital bliss seemed like an idyllic reverie. My income at the clinic, while not bestowing us with opulence, sufficed for our needs. Olivia, erstwhile a bartender, relinquished her employment to explore artistic pursuits. This shift confounded me initially, given her prior indifference to creative endeavors, but fueled by spousal support, I endorsed her newfound passion. Alas, fortune did not favor her artistic aspirations, and she returned to bartending intermittently during peak seasons and lucrative events. However, A paradigm-altering event ensued when her former boss beckoned with an opportunity at a grand corporate affair. A month-long extravaganza beckoned, attracting CEOs and business luminaries from across the state. Olivia, enticed by the allure of remuneration, accepted the temporary role with alacrity. Initially unperturbed, a disquieting sensation insinuated itself into my consciousness as the weeks transpired. Olivia's nocturnal endeavors extended beyond the norm, and unease crept in as the realization dawned that something was awry. A particular morning, punctuated by the unwelcome blare of my alarm at 7 a.m., revealed Olivia's absence from our shared bed. Perusal of my phone unveiled a message, elucidating that the corporate event had concluded, yet Olivia's continued nocturnal absence persisted. Remaining in her professional domain until late hours became a routine for Olivia, engrossed in catering to esteemed clientele willing to lavish considerable sums. Initially, I regarded this as an isolated occurrence, a minor inconvenience born of the allure of lucrative patrons. Nevertheless, as the sands of time sifted through the hourglass, the dubious nature of her prolonged absences grew increasingly conspicuous. Her erstwhile routine, departing her place of employment at 8 a.m., underwent a subtle metamorphosis. Days morphed into weeks, and on numerous occasions, the threshold of our abode bore no trace of her presence until well past the evening. An unsettling realization took root. The intervals between our encounters stretched to a span exceeding 4 or 5 days. Inquisitiveness seized me, compelling an inquiry into the temporal coordinates of her return. When questioned, she purported a return at 9 a.m., yet scrutinizing the surveillance footage on my domicile contradicted this assertion. According to the electronic eye, her homeward journey unfolded in the afternoon, around 12 p.m. Oddly, fatigue did not etch itself onto her countenance upon her belated return, and the disquiet in my mind burgeoned. In the 4th week, spurred by suspicion, I elected to depart for work at 9 o'clock a.m., the stipulated hour of her supposed return. Alas, her absence persisted, prompting me to dispel the ambiguity and confront my apprehensions. Determined to quell my rising disquiet, I embarked on a journey to the 5-star hotel hosting the business summit that had ensnared Olivia's professional services in the realm of bartending. En route, I procured her favored berry smoothie and a fresh croissant, intent on delivering this small gesture to her workplace. Upon my return home, a disconcerting realization unfurled as her vehicle occupied the driveway. An intangible foreboding gripped me, preluding an unsettling revelation awaiting me within the sanctuary of our shared abode. Crossing the threshold, the subtle nuances of our domestic haven seemed altered, a perception hitherto overlooked in my complacency. Never one to discern the minutiae of our living space, an uneasy certainty gnawed at my senses, heralding an unforeseen revelation as I traversed the familiar territory. Silence lingered, a palpable discomfort that draped over the room, leaving me to navigate the tense silence that clung to the air. Whether she grappled with articulating the words or anticipated my initiation of the discourse remained uncertain. An agonizing cadence echoed with each passing second, an eternity condensed into fleeting moments, until my inquiry about the suitcases hung in the ether. The tears that welled in her eyes became the harbingers of a revelation, a precursor to the torrent of falsehoods she was about to weave. In tremulous tones, she attempted to narrate an opportunity too compelling to forego, a dream she felt compelled to chase, yet her gaze averted mine, and her voice quivered. The incongruence between her words and demeanor bespoke a narrative steeped in deception. A swell of frustration gripped me, an uncharacteristic departure from my usual mild temperament. My hand met the table's surface with an authoritative thud as I implored her to cast aside the facade and articulate the truth. It was an anomaly in our 2-year matrimony, the sole occasion where my voice, laced with frustration, reverberated within our shared space. The revelation, when it finally surfaced, became an indelible imprint on my consciousness. My wife, confessor of falsehoods, was forsaking our union for a wealthy suitor encountered in the ambience of a bar, a millionaire residing in the hinterlands. The rupture ensued, and while the subsequent years bore the weight of tumult, the intricacies of that period are a chapter left largely unexplored. 5 years hence, the tapestry of my life underwent a metamorphosis. The house we once shared exchanged for a residence in a more upscale enclave. Matrimony consummated with Kara, a woman both beautiful and ambitious, and the blessing of a baby boy. Life, in its current iteration, exuded contentment, and the specter of Olivia had evolved into a distant memory. Yet, unexpectedly, the vestiges of the past resurfaced in the form of a text, heralding Olivia's return and a purported urgency for a meeting. Her incessant attempts at communication compelled me to acquiesce, a reluctant willingness to confront the remnants of a history best left behind. As I stepped into the coffee shop, her presence awaited in a booth, a semblance of a smile gracing her countenance. The fleeting hope that sought forgiveness crossed my mind, but as the dialogue unfolded, it became evident that old patterns resurfaced. The talk of her return to town intertwined with subtle attempts to breach personal boundaries, a narrative veering towards the manipulative. I maintained a distance, rebuffing her advances, an insistence on delineating the boundaries that governed our present reality. Despite my resentment, a peculiar duality persisted within me, an acknowledgement that, irrespective of the hatred festering within, a vestige of care lingered for the person she once was. Her plea for financial assistance, however, was met with skepticism. $5,000, a tangible manifestation of her newfound destitution, was the toll exacted by her erstwhile paramour, the millionaire who had cast her aside for a new liaison with his alluring assistant. Karma, it seemed, had finally caught up with her. The revelation of her motives, in seeking monetary succor, unfurled a sordid tapestry of opportunism that had shrouded her intentions from the outset. The realization dawned that, during our time together, she had perceived me not as a partner but as a means to an end. Her obliviousness to my existence during our formative years was superseded by the night at the bar, where, amidst the ebullience of camaraderie, she gleaned insights into my burgeoning professional endeavors and financial standing. In the inebriated revelry, perhaps, I had inadvertently revealed facets of my life that became the allure of financial stability for her. While my inclination veered towards an outright refusal to facilitate her financial revival, curiosity prompted me to probe further into the specifics of her predicament. Her narrative unfolded, detailing the aftermath of her failed relationship. A return to her parents, presumed to be a haven, was thwarted by the cruel hands of fate. Unbeknownst to her, her parents had relinquished their abode, relocating to a modest one-bedroom apartment by the seaside. Her entreaty for financial assistance encompassed aspirations of securing shelter, restarting her life, and, somewhat ironically, funding the creation of a painting intended for sale to discerning patrons. In the hip urban enclave of Trendy Gallery, I found myself engaging in a conversation with my ex-wife. It was only natural to inquire about the gallery's decision regarding commissioning her for a piece. She revealed her aspirations to delve into the realm of art during our matrimonial journey, a period where she, regrettably, failed to produce a single stroke on canvas. To be fair, I had no prior knowledge of her artistic prowess, having never laid eyes upon any of her creations. Despite her plea for $3,000 and an earnest explanation of her predicament, I stood firm in my decision. The bar where she once worked had undergone a change in management, rendering her unemployed. Skepticism lingered as I refused to buy into whatever she was selling. If she sought personal exploration, it was incumbent upon her to finance the journey independently. My support during our marriage was acknowledged, but her decision to venture into the bed of a millionaire irrevocably altered the dynamic. The metamorphosis in her demeanor was swift, transforming from an innocent damsel in distress to a cold-hearted villain. She declared, "You owe me." Recounting the divorce, she contended that she should have received alimony or at least half the proceeds from the house's sale. Yet, I deemed her claims baseless, and my patience reached its limit. Expletives may have been hurled her way, a visceral reaction to her audacity. Nevertheless, it marked the definitive end of extending any benefit of the doubt. Upon returning home, I promptly blocked her across all social media platforms, taking precautionary measures to eliminate any lingering connection. Consulting with a pseudo-lawyer, courtesy of a colleague's brother affiliated with a legal firm, I learned that pursuing alimony post-divorce settlement was legally implausible in our state. Even if she were to engage a lawyer, the lack of a viable case and financial means rendered her attempts futile. An unwavering decision was made to sever ties completely by blocking her contact number. Yet the confines of a small town rendered evasion challenging. The grapevine inevitably carried whispers of her relocation upstate, seeking refuge with an old high school acquaintance. In the intricate tapestry of urban drama, my resolve to distance myself from her machinations remained unshaken. As I reflect on the recent events, the specter of my ex-wife, Olivia, looms as a distant memory, a chapter of my life that now resides in the archives of the past. Mercifully, her insidious influence on my life has been severed, and any Machiavellian endeavors she harbors henceforth will have to unfold on a different stage, for she will no longer have the agency to entangle my life in her web of deceit. In the weeks that followed, my wife, Kara, our baby, and I embarked on a 3-week sojourn, traversing the expanses of our state, unraveling its hidden gems, and savoring the joyous moments of exploration. Astonishingly, our infant, a tiny traveler in tow, proved to be remarkably adaptable. On our homeward journey, the pangs of hunger led us to a diner nestled just off the highway, a nondescript establishment that belied the culinary treasures it concealed. Starving and devoid of pickiness, Kara and I seated ourselves, placing orders that would satiate our voracious appetites. Midway through this culinary respite, a peculiar commotion wafted through the air, emanating from the vicinity outside the restroom doors. Managerial reprimands unfurled as I overheard Olivia, now an employee at this unassuming diner, receiving a dressing down for her recent transgressions. It appeared that she had committed the egregious error of serving hot sauce to a 4-year-old instead of ketchup, an act that had garnered multiple complaints. The manager, stern in his warnings, declared it her final chance, threatening termination for any future infractions. Normally, one might choose to wait outside the restroom, affording an employee a modicum of privacy during such professional castigations. Yet, in this instance, curiosity overpowered discretion, and I lingered within earshot, eager to witness the repercussions of her actions. As I dried my hands, the manager's admonishments resonated, culminating in the ultimatum that one more mistake would herald her departure. The moment she realized my presence coincided with the manager's stern warning was etched on her countenance a mix of dread, chagrin, and an undeniable awareness that she had garnered the attention of the last person she wished to encounter. As I exited the diner, I carried with me the affirmation that my familial bonds and professional pursuits deserved the entirety of my attention. In this unanticipated tableau, where past and present collided, Olivia faced the repercussions of her actions. It seems, in the grand theater of life, she received a measure of what she deserved. Grateful for the unexpected twist, I departed, contemplating the forthcoming chapters of my existence, dedicated to the facets that truly matter. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and until we meet again, take care.